And that, my friends, is certainly a sight for sore eyes. All right, so coming to you to start off this video, before we get into the really meat of things, us getting some tasks done around the farm, I wanted to go over our pregnancy test results that we obviously are getting back from the blood we drew from the cow herd in the last video. And so if you didn't watch the last video, you may want to pause right here, go back. I would encourage you to do so anyway, because we really go through a lot of the details of the test, the exact type of test we're using, how it works, how we do the timing, why the timing matters, why we're checking when we do. But anyway, if you've watched that, we're going to get into it. If you hadn't, go back and watch, and then now we'll welcome you back in. So we checked 41 total head. Essentially 31 of them were cows, so females that have calved at least once previously. 10 heifers, easy math there. So for the cows, 31 head, 23 were bred, 74%. Not great for natural breeding with bull. One thing to keep in mind, the 4 of those 8 that were open were the last 4 to calve in the spring. They calved late. They were outside of what we would ideally have for our calving window, and so it was no surprise that they were open. It was really a tough ask to expect those 4 particularly to be bred. So not a shock there. I'm a little disappointed because those are all 4 really cows that we like, which is kind of why we had held on to them, even though we knew they were going to calve late this year. But probably time to move on from them because they're just going to calve late every year, unless they somehow get bred back in a real short window at some point, which didn't happen this year. So 4 others that didn't get bred, really not much excuse for any of them. Thankfully, of those other 4, 2 of the worst disposition cows we have are in there, and one of them is she was the very top of the cull list. I think I got mad at her when she was in the chute, and I told her, I hope you're open because I want to get rid of your goofy, sorry butt. And had she been bred, we would have ended up keeping her, no doubt, but she's open. So yeah, when you take those 4 out, 23 of 27 were bred, that's 85%. That's getting to be, certainly acceptable numbers. For the heifers, we had 4 of the 10 were bred. And to dive into that number a little more, 3 of them we did not want to be bred. We did not expect to be bred. They're all they're like right at 11 months old. There was just about no way they would be bred, but we just wanted to make sure they were in fact open. We're marketing them as all open heifers, and so now we can truly say yes, that they've all checked open. So overall, I guess that's 27 of 41. We will probably keep at least 26 of those of the bred heifers. 3 we definitely knew we wanted to keep. 1 was one we were going to sell. I had several people interested. If they still want her, even though obviously now we know she's bred rather than open, we'll still sell her. But anyway, glad to get these results back. Relatively happy with it. There was a couple of others that been happier if they were bred. The bull, if you watched the last video, was still in there with the cows until today's Friday. That was Saturday, was their blood, so just 6 days ago. So a chance that they still could be bred, but we're less than 28 days at the time we drew the blood. We really probably ought to check these heifers again in another 3 or 4 weeks because we are marketing them as open and be sure they are truly open. When we draw blood from them, if we do, we will probably check some of those cows against, especially those 4 that calved late. From a business standpoint, you should totally just call them, move on. They're open. Even if they check bred this next time, we know they were bred very late. They're going to calve late again next year. But that's where you sometimes let sentimental or emotion play into the decision rather than just good business sense. But again, those 4 are 4 cows that are good dispositions that we really like. But anyway, we're going to dive into the meat of the video now. We're going to get some farm chores done. Good time to remind you, please give the video a thumbs up if you like it. And if you have not subscribed, we appreciate that too. So cheers, let's get after it. All right, so yeah, got just a little rain this morning. Looks like a couple of tenths. It was a good rain though, and just in terms of, it kind of did that slowly over a couple of hours, just a slow drizzle, which we definitely need more than that, sounding greedy, but chance of scattered showers the rest of the day and over the next few days. So hopefully we're gonna get a little more. We got a little bit of a late start today because it was raining right there at daylight, which we are certainly more than happy to get a late start if this means we had a rain. We're gonna give these girls a little bit of feed and then head up the road. We got some things we need to do on the other farm. So we're gonna get the side-by-side, a little bit of feed loaded up, head up the road to the other farm where the stocker steers are, get them checked, just we haven't been down there yet today. I'm giving them a little bit of feed, and then we need to do a little fencing. We had a little problem just a couple weeks ago in one of the pastures that we moved them out of, but get some wire stretched. Shouldn't take too terribly long, take advantage of the cooler temperatures, but get that done and see what else comes up. All right, so you can see those boys coming up the hill there. Heard us pull up. They want a little feed, get a little feed put out for them. Then we're gonna load up on the Pioneer because the fencing job we need to do is on the other side of this place. The other thing, which has been a challenge all year, we've got 4 steers that just aren't in here with these. They're in, I'm really not even sure exactly which pasture, and I think they're just in the next one. But it's been a challenge this year. In years past, you know, the group, they may not all stay together all year long, but they've been much better about, you know, when we move pastures, it's pretty simple to get them all moved together. And it's just, I couldn't tell you the last time we had all 73 in one pasture all together, which kind of brings us to, or I guess maybe the explanation for that is that we've had more issues with lameness this year. Just, you know, probably have 2 or 3 right now that are bad lame that we've treated, and just every now and then, you know, every few days you'll notice another one's just a little lame, you know, usually self-limiting, but not really sure what it is. We you know, last year we really battled pink eye pretty bad. Probably half of them had pink eye at some point. Probably had to treat about 1/3 of them. This year, knock on wood, we've only treated maybe 3 or 4 for pink eye, maybe not even that many, but we have this kind of mysterious lameness that'll pop up. You can see the majority of them here, you're fine, but you know, if you have 5 or 6 of them, especially come time to sell, are lame to the point where you really don't want to either put them on a trailer, or maybe they're fine to trailer, but they're going to get there and they're going to be a little gimpy, and you know, so they're going to want to cut them off the rest of the group. That's no good. So I don't know, that's made rotating pastures consistently with everybody a little bit of a challenge and a little bit annoying then when we check them every day. So other objectives after we get these fed, work on a little fence and find those 4 steers that we're missing. I know exactly which numbers we're missing. Let's see if we can find them. All right, so I'm going to show you our fence problem that we're going to correct today. And the fence is not down, not a tree on it or anything like we typically run into, and we all of a sudden have to fix the spot where the cows are getting out. But just through here, there's just these 4 strands of barbed wire, and you can't even see the 4th one here. It's kind of grown up. Down there a little lower. It's fairly loose. This fence was here when we bought the place, and actually these few acres over here, which is where we had a couple of calves one of the mornings back when I was sick and not feeling very good, belonged to that house up there. But we had 2 over there grazing. They couldn't resist that good Johnson grass, and I don't know exactly where they got out. I'd kind of suspected, you know, that doesn't look like they went down through there, but where it's washed out, that would be a potential. But somewhere where these wires separated, look, there's not even any clips here. You know, I don't see any hair where they went through right there, but somewhere just these 4 strands they got through it. And the reason this fence, I guess, is here like it is, only 4 strands, that house, those few acres, used to be part of this property. When it sold and they cut that off, there were no animals down here at all. I think, you know, or I assume they probably had somebody just put this fence up, just basically marking the property line. The 4 strands, you know, it not being super tight, you know, it's kind of like, well, it's good enough for what they were using it for, and it was. It has been good enough for calves for about 2.5 years until those two, just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, decided they were gonna go over there and check it out. But you can see, even where they haven't gotten out, they've been sticking their heads through and picking that Johnson grass back. You can see how it's not nearly as tall and grown up right there for the first 3 or 4 feet on that side of the fence. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna run 3 strands of wire. We're just gonna kind of split it, put one right about here, one right about there, one right about there. We'll go from a 4-strand fence to a 7-strand. Should not have this problem again. We'll do something right here at this low spot where it's washed, but I guess we got maybe 800-900 feet of fence or so, if I'm just estimating. Shouldn't be too hard, just basically stretching that wire, tying it to the, or clipping it to the post. All right, so they put in a good brace down here, relatively good. When they built this, we got that wire tied off. We're going down between, count from the bottom, between what's their first and second wire. Gonna stretch that. A little bit of a partial roll on here. I'm gonna see if I can cheat, make this a little easier. Drive, put it in gear. Okay, so we've got this wire unrolled, probably a little over halfway before we got to go up there top of that next hill. And probably the biggest complaint, the biggest critique you would give to the way this fence has been done, other than the fact they only used 4 wires, which our general rule of thumb is we put 5 wires on property line or perimeter fences. Put 4 is usually plenty for just a cross fence separating your pastures. But they didn't brace it at all. They got a nice brace. They knew what they were doing there on the end. Pretty certain they do up here at the other end, but they didn't put any in between. And they put these few wood posts. I think we just got 3 right here, just because it does come a pretty big contour kind of over this little levee they've got here to control it washing, which of course is washing pretty bad right there. But they should have had probably at least 2 H braces. I forget what the rule of thumb is for how often you should have one, but just with the way the contour is, should have had at least 2 to get it adequately as tight as you would like. But I'm sure, again, there weren't any animals or anything in there at the time. They were just wanting to mark the property line. All right, we've been begging to get rained out for a few weeks now, doing anything. It looks like that might happen now. I'm gonna get up here on a little higher ground where maybe I have some phone service and pull up my radar, see if it looks like it's about to set in. And if it is, we're gonna get out of here. If not, if it looks like it's just a little cell that's gonna pass through, we'll wait it out, or we'll just keep working even through it. But if it's gonna set in the rain for a couple hours, we're not gonna stay out here in that mess. But you got one wire stretched about half the way. So, but that's okay. We need the rain more than we need this fence fixed. Okay, so not enough phone service to actually pull up the radars. I double check it here. Yeah. So, but as you can see, probably appreciate, it does look like it's clearing off, kind of back to the south. And all this storm system has kind of been coming up from the south to the southwest, which off to the southwest doesn't look as much like it could clear. So we're up here underneath pine trees where it's not getting quite as soaking wet. Might give it another 10 or 15 minutes. Last thing I want to do is get everything loaded up, just headed back towards the house, and then the sun pop back out. All right, so the rain hasn't stopped. It's let up. Looks like it's going to clear off. Maybe it's not. I'll be fine if I keep getting wet. But anyway, we're gonna let up enough that we're gonna try to get back after it. Get at least this first wire done, and hopefully 2 more, and we'll be done with this job altogether. All right, so it has cleared off pretty nicely, which is, I guess, both good and bad. But you can see, whoa, if I don't drop the camera, getting close to being done. What we got here? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see how loose some of those original wires were, which is, yeah, it's annoying. We got about another 100 feet or so of line or of wire to stretch. We'll have that last one right there done. I'm not gonna get completely done because I don't have enough of those clips, the T-post clips. I knew I didn't have enough in my bucket of tools on the Pioneer. Grabbed a few bags out of the barn before I left the house, and then I set them down and left them. So don't ever get old, kids, and forgetful. So that's the moral there. But we're gonna have this job like 95% of the way done. And we did have a fair number of clips, just not quite enough. So we'll come back either this afternoon or here over the next few days and get that done. But get this last little bit stretched, and this pasture will be ready to hold calves again. Hopefully better than it did a couple weeks ago. Okay, and just to give you an example of good fence, this is good, tight, 5 strands of barbed wire, proper brace in a corner that we had actually paid, had a friend of ours put up. But of course, the example of not having a brace just because it's not that far to the next corner. So, but I forget how many feet it is before you need another brace, you know, even if you have a perfectly straight run. But anyway, good example of a very well done fence. I suppose the other one, which again, it's going to be fine, but just when it was put up, it wasn't put up with the intention of, oh, hey, this is going to keep cows fenced in, and now we're expecting it to. So anyway, we're going to head back to the truck. Still looking for those 4 steers. I did not see them on the way over here coming through these other pastures. We'll look again, see if we can find them. If not too big of a deal. Now would be a good time, because I haven't mentioned yet, give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, we appreciate that. But we're gonna head back towards the truck and get a few more things done today. That is a big old red oak that fell, and we really haven't had any bad weather at all recently. Guess it was just its time. Of course, the $1 million question is, did it find a fence? This is almost kind of comical. Look at that. The tree was about 18 inches off the fence, and the way it fell, the trunk here is elevated, and so it didn't get the fence somehow. I don't know if at some point in the future it's going to settle down and get it. I don't know if you can hear that, but Sadie, she was after a coyote over there the other day. It may be the same thing. But while I've got all my fence and stuff, I'm going to tighten up those wires. But it's crazy, which, I mean, this could have been a lot worse as far as the fence, but how these trees, they always find the fence when they fall. The fence is always somehow involved. But yeah, big old oak, big oak. But anyway, I'd seen it the other day. We're in a pasture where the calves aren't right now. I'd seen there had been a tree fall out, and I really didn't think it was close enough to the fence based on the way it fell, but it's just such a big tree. Yeah, it was all the way back on the other side of the fence. Hey, there you are. What were you after? There's no telling. But yeah, we'll just real quickly, you can see the fence has been fixed right here before. We'll untie that wire and tighten it back up. And again, it's not perfect, but they can't get out. The other annoying thing about this tree, now it's falling out into the pasture here. And yeah, it's not covering up, a significant number of square feet or area, but every year you have a few trees that do this. You keep giving back. Now they can't get in there and graze. There's no grass getting in the ground, and grass isn't going to grow. So, and a tree this size is, my gosh, you definitely have to have a dozer or a track hoe excavator or something like that to get it back out of the way. So I don't even know. It's frustrating. It's always something going on like that. But we had a dozer here on this farm for a while, for about a year. My dad's dozer was parked here. And yeah, if you had it back down here, you could probably push at least a bunch of this top out of the way. But I don't know. We just in the year or so since he's moved the dozer, I can think of There's another tree just right up here at the other end of this bottom. Here's this one. I know there's one in the next pasture. I can think of 4 or 5 spots we've got trees that have fallen out like that. And then just up in there is where we had a real big tree all over the fence, but it was all in the woods. It didn't affect the pasture any. But oh well, it's about 1 o'clock. I need to go home, change clothes, be about time to go pick up the kids then. All right, good morning again, coming at you bright and early. Now it's Saturday. We've kind of jumped around, done some time travel in this video. Started out going over those pregnancy results on Friday night, then went back in time to Wednesday to work on that fence and check cows and whatnot. Now we've jumped back again to Saturday, but just kind of wanted to discuss a few more things, I guess, complain and moan. We were very happy to get that rain. We just didn't get a lot of it. Pretty much what you saw us getting there, I guess, on Wednesday was the bulk of what we got. We got about 7/10 on this farm here where we have our stocker steers. Just up the road, just that way, maybe 3-4 miles at home with the cow herd. We ended up with half that there, or a little over half that at 4/10. So still in need of rain. We're still planning for rain. We are thankful for what we did get, but to have had 40+% chances every day all week, like 70% chances some days, and to get out of it with no more than that, a little disappointing. I think there is about a 60% chance again today. So who knows, we could get a couple inches dumped on us all at once, and that would be fine. But then it's going to dry up, it looks like, for the next week or so, and that's fine. But I'd hope for a little more. What we did get will be a good shot in the arm to get the pastures, keep them growing. We'd hope for a little more. There's 2 ponds in this pasture that they water out of, and they're both getting a little low. We're probably going to rotate them tomorrow. I've got to get out of town. I need to hurry up and get back home. We have a softball tournament for my daughter today, so not going to move them this morning. Probably plan on doing that tomorrow. But we appreciate everybody watching. We're going to keep making videos as long as people keep watching. We got, who knows what'll be coming up. We got to sell a few cows now that we got results back. We're going to be getting some hay at some point, as we're getting close to moving into fall. But keep tuning in. We appreciate it. Give us a comment, ask a question. We love that. Give the video a thumbs up. We always ask, and if you're not subscribed, please do so. But as we always wrap up, we want to remind you to eat beef and God bless. Thanks, everybody.